As I continue to work with Paul Hemphill's clients, I get asked the same question a lot, which is, should my child take the ACT or the SAT? Well, it's a very good question and it's very important to address the right way. So I have a couple different answers to this. The first answer is that it really depends on actual objective standards. In other words, what I'd like you to do is grab the official SAT testing booklet, the official ACT testing booklet, and have your child sit down and go through an entire test of each, timed. Really go through the full experience because nothing beats actually doing it. Your child will, I guarantee you, have an unbelievable aversion to one of these tests, and he or she will probably actually really like one of the others. So let me answer the basic idea here. The SAT is all about problem solving. It's a little bit more deliberate. You really have to go through, and while the material on the SAT isn't quite that difficult, it has a lot to do with just figuring out what they're asking you in the first place. So if your child is someone who's very methodical, a real great logical reasoner, they like kind of going through, figuring things out, putting together pieces of the puzzle, the SAT will probably really appeal to them. Now, the ACT, it's funny because the ACT has a reputation as being sort of a, this SAT light. It's like the bohemian version of the SAT, which really couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, the ACT is objectively much more difficult than the SAT. The ACT is, first of all, given at a blistering pace. You have to solve problems much faster. It's all about time. Second of all, there's very little logical reasoning involved, and while you can still use a lot of strategy to improve your performance, it has almost nothing to do with kind of figuring out, oh, what are they asking me, or what tricks do I need to avoid? It really just gives you a bunch of complicated equations, complicated grammar problems, etc., and as you solve them one after the other. So, if your child is someone who's very straightforward, who likes kind of just going through, being very methodical, and really just knocking out problem after problem, and if they have very, very strong material mastery. In other words, if your child can kind of just go through all of the equations, all the proper formulas, etc. with no issue, the ACT will probably be better. Also, keep in mind that the ACT requires a lot of focus. Because it's so time intensive, if you zone out for 5 seconds, you're done. The ACT is really, really, really intense when it comes to timing and to focus and to blistering pace. Now, the SAT is more methodical. So that's my general answer. What type of student is best at each? But again, it all comes down to actually grabbing both booklets, having your child sit down, go through the exams. And what you can do is Google something called the concordance table. Now, if you actually grade your two exams, if your child takes a full diagnostic on the SAT and the ACT, and I'm always happy to help Paul's clients learn how to do this, how to take a realistic, high-quality diagnostic exam. Once you've done that, you can compare their scores, and there's actually a direct parallel. So, of course, a 2400 relates to a 36, and then they drop down in equal stages. And it's about 60 or 70 points on the SAT for every 1 point on the ACT. But, of course, it doesn't convert quite that simply. So you need to be a little bit careful. But that's my basic general answer. Should you take the SAT or the ACT? Well, it depends on who your child is, what he or she prefers, and most importantly, on how she scores on these two exams and which one he or she likes best.